Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about one of the contemporary issue that is about COVID-19, how to deal with COVID-19 in the construction industry, and what are the various contractual rights and remedies the contractor have to deal with the COVID-19 situation. As you know, everyone, the COVID-19 impact all the sectors, irrespective of the industries. It impact all the sectors. One of the mainly affected sector is construction industry. So now all the contractors are dealing with how to cope up with this COVID-19. What are the various contractual rights or remedies available? So we are going to see about that one in this video. So these are the main three contractual rights and remedies we are going to discuss in the video. These are the mainly available in the contract for dealing with the COVID-19 issue. One is force majeure, one is change in law, one is doctrine of frustration. This will be the common law actually. This will not be in the contract. This is the common law available in the court. So first we'll deal about the force majeure. So whenever like this pandemic or epidemic comes, everyone will see the force majeure clause in the contract. So first we deal about what is force majeure, what is the definition of force majeure, what are the events covered under force majeure under various contracts. We'll see to it. So force majeure, actually there is no definition in the English law for the force majeure. It is actually a French word. Different contracts will have the different definition. So we have to see exactly what wordings in your contract, in a particular project contracts. And some of the contracts, it will not include the definition itself. It just includes the force majeure word also. So how we are going to deal with that? We'll see in the upcoming slides about all those issues. So let's see what is force majeure means. The force majeure actually identified as being an exceptional event or circumstance. Those exceptional events which are beyond the party controls, both client, contractor, those events or circumstances are called as force majeure. Or those events the party could not reasonably avoid it or overcome. So those events are called force majeure. Or while entering into the contract, they can't forecast this or the problems is going to come. That type of event also is called force majeure. And those the event which you can't substantially attributable to the other party. That, like for example, the COVID-19 is because of you. Like that, we can't say to the other party. Okay, this is the epidemic. It is not caused due to the other party. So that type of event is also called force majeure. This is the definition of force majeure. We have to see how each contracts define the force majeure. First, we will talk about FIDIC, one of the famous contracts conditions, general condition is explained. We will see separately the video about FIDIC and plan to release a separate video regarding the FIDIC. So let's see how the FIDIC explain the force majeure. The clause 19 of the FIDIC 1999 explain force majeure, an event or circumstance which is beyond the party controls. The party could not reasonably have provided against before entering into the contract, whatever we have discussed before, have arisen such party could not reasonably have avoided or overcome, or it is not substantially attributable to the other party. This is the force majeure definition. So what are the various events are defined under the force majeure in the FIDIC? Let's see in the next slide. The force majeure event may comprise, you just note this word, but it is not limited to any of the following events or circumstances, provided that condition above was satisfied. You have to clearly need to understand this sentence. What they are telling, these are the condition, probable condition. These are the condition which we can tell as the force majeure, but these are not only the condition. but it is not limited to any of the only following events or circumstances. Maybe the other circumstance also can come if it satisfied the following condition. That is, it is beyond the party control or party could not reasonably provided against it, or such party could not reasonably have avoided, or is not substantially attributed to the other party. If it is satisfied those conditions, any of the conditions, still if it is not in the post major event provided by the FIDIC, still you can say as a post major event. That activity can call as a post major event. Suppose if you see these 6 events provided by the FIDIC, there is no word of epidemic or pandemic. We just read war, hostiles, rebellion, terrorism, riots, commission, disorder by persons other than contractor personnel, strike or lockout, not solely involving the contractor personnel or other employees of the contractor and subcontractor, using of explosive material, encountering of wars, contamination by radioactivity, or natural catastrophes like earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity, hurricane, or typhoon. You can't find anywhere of pandemic or epidemic or disease, any infectious disease around the world. So in that situation, what you can do. So for solution for that only, they have put this word. The force majeure event may comprise this event, but it is not limited to any of the following event or circumstances, provided that condition 1 to 4 above was satisfied. So whether the COVID-19 satisfy the force majeure event, for that we have to see these classes. It's beyond the party control. COVID-19 controlled by the party. Before entering to the contract, we can't foresee whether the COVID-19 is there or not. COVID-19 will come or not. Having arisen such party could not reasonably have avoided or overcome. We are trying, but we can't able to avoid or overcome. Okay, and it's not substantially attributable to the other party. So I think the epidemic COVID-19 can classify as a force majeure event according to the FIDIC contract. You should notify, you just note, it is as per the FIDIC contract. It's like that. If your contract, particular project contract, if this word is not there, then it will be a problem. Then it means only what are the conditions provided in your contract that only constitute as a force majeure event. In that event, if epidemic or pandemic word is not there, then it will be a problem actually. So whatever we are talking now, it is about FIDIC contract. So okay, we now found out maybe epidemic, the COVID-19 can be considered as a force majeure event. So what relief we can get under the force majeure event in the FIDIC contract? Yeah, you can get EOT and extension of time you will get under or if the exceptional event is of kind described in the subparagraph A to E of subclass 18.1. These are the exceptional events. And in the case of subparagraph B to E of the subclass occurs in the country, if this terrorism, riot, strike or lockout, encountering of wars or explosive material, if it is occur in your country, then only the cost will be repaid. Actually. Okay. If it is occur in your neighboring country, if war is occurring, if in the neighboring country there was strike because of the material is not coming to you, in that case, the cost will not be reimbursed. You should clearly notify. If other country was locked down, and if you want to get the material from the next country, other country, in that case, you can't, the client won't reimburse such cost. This also differ in various contracts. The relief, whatever I am telling now, is general condition provided in the FIDIC. But if you see your particular project contract, maybe this relief will not be same. Okay, sometimes they won't provide the cost relief itself. Most probably in all the contract they will be provided the extension of time. So you have to see your project contract. But this is the conditions available in the FIDIC general conditions, FIDIC book. So next, actually, the force, whatever we discussed, the force measure, this all the condition are FIDIC 1999. Now they have released new edition, FIDIC 2017. In that, what they have changed is that force measure word itself they have deleted and they have used exceptional event. Apart from that, all the conditions are same. But the change they have made is they have removed the force measure and they have replaced with the exceptional event. There is no reference of force measure in the FIDIC 2017 edition because there is no definition in the English law. So when we are going to the codes, that is, it causes some confusions and uncertainty. So they have deleted this force measure word in the FIDIC itself and they have replaced with the exceptional event. So next common contract which used in the UK is JCT contract. The JCT contract is like a joint contracts tribunal design and build contract. It is a old type of contract which is used in the UK mostly. The force measure actually they have defined in the JCT contract, but it does not include any examples of force measure. Whatever we have seen before in like FIDIC, they give some examples like war is one of the force measure, like strike, boycott, or some of the examples they have given. But in JCT contract they didn't define also, and they didn't give any examples also. They didn't define what constitute force measure. Okay, they didn't give example also. So general understand is like the circumstance or events that are not within the contracting party control or constitutes as force measure. Hence, epidemic can consider as a force measure event. But according to the JCT contract, for force measure event, you can't get the cost relief, loss and expense you can't claim. In other words, how we can explain this is you can get relief from paying liquidated damages due to the delay, but you have to bear your own cost due to this delay. So in JCT contract, they have just put one word like force measure. You can get extension of time, but they didn't tell what is the definition of force measure and what are the various examples for the force measure. They didn't explain. And for force measure class, there is no claim loss or expense or cost relief is not provided. This is the extract of JCT contract. Okay. In case of NEC contract, this is new engineering contract. This also used in UK and worldwide actually. It's actually given by Institute of Civil Engineers, UK actually. So this NEC contract didn't define the force measure itself, but they have given some events which are same as the force measure. They didn't use the word force measure. So what are the events like? Or the events must stop the contractor completing the whole of work either completely or by the date for planned completion shown on the accepted program. Either of the party could not prevent that one. Being experienced contract, we can't foresee whether it is occurring in the future. So if these are the conditions made, maybe they can get the extension of time. And what they are telling, This delay must impact the completion of the whole of the works. That means it should be the critical, it should affect the critical path. Okay, if it is affect non-critical path and if it is not delay the completion of the whole of the work, then you can't claim. If the contract, if this condition was satisfied, then you can get the cost relief also. You can, unlike the JCT contract, here you can get the cost relief and time relief if you have proved that the event was could not be provided by the either party. It was not forecasted by the experienced contractor, and it stopped completing the whole of the works. And it impact the critical path of your project. Thereby, it is delaying the whole of the works. If satisfy all those conditions, then you can claim the additional time as well as the additional cost in the NEC contract. So these are the various force majeure